You're listening to Chem Stories, a podcast series created by people with lived experience of P&P chemsex.
Good evening, my angels. This is Captain Patrice welcoming you aboard Chem Stories Airlines for our YYZ Insight flight. On this third Toronto departure, host Bradley introduces Jordan, an experienced flyer who challenges conventional views around drug use and sexuality. Our flight plan forecasts a two-part conversation diving into the complexities of P&P chemsex, exploring the motivations, experiences, and challenges of those who participate in this subculture. We'll be underway shortly, so please make sure to keep your hearts and minds open at all times. Keep your prejudices securely stowed, as this flight is a judgment-free zone, and prepare for takeoff. Should you experience turbulence while listening to this podcast, please visit our list of resources and services related to P&P chemsex in the episode description and on chemstories.ca. Thank you for choosing Chem Stories Airlines, where the journey is always a trip.
Hi, Brad. How are you?
How am I? I think I'm all right. How are you?
I'm not having the greatest day today. Don't know how much of that I want to bring to this moment in time.
If you do want to chat about it at any time, or you want to chat about it and turn off the recorder, we can do that as well.
Okay, thanks.
So what is chemsex for you?
Well, it depends. I've got a professional response for you, and then I've got sort of an answer that's a little bit more like, how do I actually feel what chemsex is for me?
Oh, I don't want the professional answer.
You don't want the professional answer?
I want the second one.
The second one? Chemsex is a way of life.
Yeah.
It feels very odd saying that, but it's a way of life, right? It's a culture, It's a community, it's a way of talking, it's a way of knowing, it's shared experiences amongst me and other queer men. There's a knowing in chemsex. There's a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You know what this is all about. It's like the joke about the cock rings going missing every time you go to a party. Like, that's something I've heard from everybody I've met in the community, and everybody always complains about cock rings going missing. But it's something that we universally understand amongst guys who practice chemsex or P&P as being true. We know this. We've experienced it ourselves, right? And we all have our little, quirks and clothes.
So I'm laughing because it's so funny. It's so funny because it's so true.
It is. It really is. Like, and that kind of gives me a lot of comfort, right? Because I can go anywhere in the country and I can strike up at least a somewhat coherent shared narrative between me and a complete stranger. And we can understand, the rules of the game, but also understand each other a little bit better and feel a little bit of commonality. And I think there's also a sense of being against the world, kind of being against us and really not being our biggest fans, and kind of like there's a bonding that comes from that. And so chemsex to me is a way of life. It's a community. It's really, at this point in my life, it's kind of become part of the fabric of who I am, right? Regardless of where I go with it.
I love that.
So,
do you find that there is ritual or ceremony involved in chemsex at times?
I would say a lot of it is ritual and ceremony. And I think we all have, but there's different rituals and ceremonies depending on where you are in the chemsex world, because I wouldn't want people listening to this podcast to think that P&P or chemsex is all one thing. There's a diversity of pursuits under chemsex that, everybody's got their kinks and their fetishes or the things that they want to do. And there's a lot of ritual in those. But everything from like the way that you prepare your room, to host somebody, the things that you do, the things that you say, the lead up, there's a sense of like, these are the words I always say, or these are the things I always do to like set the scene and to set the mood, to give me the experience that I want and hopefully somebody else wants to share in, kind of thing. There's a lot of ritual. We're very like into like ceremony and ritual, and also like doing things in a certain order and very rigid kind of list-based, like in our scene. It's quite interesting to me. Came in our interesting.
The other night, I was tired and in bed, and someone from the roster, as I call them, messaged me and wanted to play around. And I was horny, but I was also tired, and I had to get up early and do work. And I thought, I don't have the time to do all of the ritual ahead of it. Like I don't just want to go over there and because that's not what I would want to do with him. And I was like, I don't have the 2 hours of prep before I get to host the bot, like all of that stuff, which I think a lot of it is ceremony and I quite like all of that. what would you say to someone who hasn't started, who's listening and is like, I want to try? Because someone I know said to me, I want to try chemsex, Brad. And I was like, oh, okay. Are you telling me because you think I'm your chemsex doula, or because you want me to like hook you up like I am some sort of agent?
I think it's a tough question because there's a lot of things that get caught up in that. And my instinctive immediate response is always like, no, don't do it. And the reason I say that is because that's what's been ingrained in me is the right thing to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
The right thing is to tell people, no, stay away, caution, this is dangerous. Like, look at me, look at my life. But I wouldn't actually say that. I've had this experience once or twice before, and I said, okay, great. That's a thing you want to explore. It can be really good for some people. It can be really hard for some people. If you're going to do it, just make sure that you know yourself a little bit before you do, and do your research, right? And do it with people that you feel safe and can trust. Like, if you're going to pick somebody to do it with, do not go with some random, guy off the internet per se, but like do it with somebody who's in your circle who has experience with it, that you know. You want somebody who's going to respect your boundaries and you can trust, and you want somebody who's going to explain things to you. And I would resource them to death, of course, because it's my job. But I would not discourage people from doing it, nor would I encourage it either. I would say it's a journey all of us have to make for ourselves. And even if somebody had discouraged me when I started, I wouldn't have listened, right? Something compelling and interesting and intriguing to me about this particular path. And so I'm not going to do that to another person. Who am I to tell them what their limits are, or there's going to be a problem for them? I can't universalize my own experience as the experience that everyone will have. And it's the thing that infuriates me a lot about talking about drugs is that we do that all the time. We universalize our bad story with drugs and we make it about everybody who uses drugs. Like, yeah.
Single narrative around chemsex, right? That single narrative, which is either is a medical model or criminalization model sort of framework around. Because it's drugs, and it's not the glamour drugs, it's meth. And everyone saw that TV show. I didn't. And it's men having sex with men. So it's things that like are still criminalized in this world.
Yeah.
But talking about ceremony and connection and ritual and community and culture, it sounds fabulous.
It does. It has its moments of fabulosity, of course.
Oh, you're so apprehensive to say it's fabulous. Why? Is it like, oh, I don't want to sound like I'm promoting it? Because we get that a lot. If you actually talk about harm reduction, you're promoting drug use.
And it's such an ingrained thing too. I'm like, well, you don't want to seem overly enthusiastic about it, but I'm off the clock here. This is me on my time talking to you on your time. Wow. I'm not here for work. I'm here for me as Jordan Bongo, a private citizen. Yeah, it can be fun. It can be a lot of fun. And if it's done right, it can be a lot of fun, right? And when I say done right, I don't mean there's a rule book out there. Well, if you're doing it for whatever reason you're doing it for, let me not judge your reasons for it, but it can be a really good thing. I will say that for me, you didn't ask me this question, but I'm going to tell you the answer to it anyway.
Okay,
my experience of chemsex has been problematic at very many points during my journey. It has had its moments of difficulty and strife and challenge, but I still wouldn't change any of that. I think I've learned a lot from the experience of being in this community and experiencing what it's like to be, part of a community that people don't understand and don't bother to understand. It's reminded me that the world will always try and put you in a little box, and that box very rarely fits any of us. So I think chemsex can be a wonderful thing for some folks. You heard it here first. Jordan Bongoer wants everyone to try chemsex.
Actually, the T-shirts are being printed as we speak. How long have you been using?
Minus the 4 years I took off for recovery, quote unquote. I've been using, I think I did the tally the other day, for 14 years. I've been using for 14 years. Yeah.
So you were 60 when you started?
I was 60. Is that what you just said? For those listening at home, I am youthful and attractive and in the prime of my life.
Just kidding.
I'm older than 39 years old. No, I'm 45 now, so you do the math. I was 30-something when I started, maybe late 20s actually when I started. I have to remember I took 4 years as a break in there, so I never add those 4 years in. But it was in my late 20s when I started using drugs. So, and it wasn't crystal at first; it was coke, and then it moved into crystal. So
why did you start using?
I
You
had,
know?
well, I mean, I remember using it at a party once because I had really bad social anxiety. And I was at this party with these people who were my clients at work. They're not really clients. They were patrons at the coffee shop I used to work at, a gay couple, and they were quite lovely. And they invited me over, and they had this big party every year in their summer, a big summer party in their backyard. And somebody offered me ecstasy. And I was like, okay, cool. Why not? Like, I can try it. Like, I'll be cool. I'll like relax and let go and be a little bit more sociable because I've had social anxiety. I feel very awkward in groups of people and crowds, and I don't know how to like overcome this sort of sense of shyness and timidity. The ecstasy really took that away. And I became quite friendly with people, especially one particular boy at the party who had a girlfriend, because that was a pattern of mine for a few years. But yeah, barked up that tree. Oof.
That's a chestnut.
Yeah, but I mean, at the time, it was really just about a way to like open up and be more myself, right? Because I don't think that I'm truly a shy person. I think I'm actually quite an outgoing and gregarious person who has learned to be shy as a coping strategy to deal with all sorts of like wounds and shit. So,
And safety.
yeah, and safety. So drugs were a way of cracking that back open again, right?
Yeah.
So to a degree, and I think they still kind of are in some respects. I'll always tell people that if you want to see me at my most unfiltered and my most real, like look at me when I'm high on G. That's when you get me, straight me that the world hasn't kind of tampered with almost.
Do you tell people that you love them when you're high on G?
Well, I don't love anybody, but yeah, I do tell people I love them when I'm high on G. And in some ways, like in some of those instances, it's a really real. In all instances, it's a real feeling, whether it's a momentary feeling of love or if it's like an expression to a good friend who I love and care about. Because some of the people I party with, I've had longer committed sexual relationships partying than I have with any of my partners. Right? Like I've known people and hooked up with people for a number of years consistently, and so you develop feelings and affection for those people. But it allows me to say those words without being hung up on the fear of saying those words that comes with sometimes being sober and
so
the conditioning you have not said.
Because you know that we hear stuff like, when you're high, you're not you. And what you say isn't the truth. And what you're feeling, that it's all, that's the drug or that's the speaking. How do you, because my experience is like yours. I think that they are the feelings. I do have those feelings in those moments.
Yeah, it's so funny we say that to people, yet we're taught to deal with people in psychosis by admitting that to them, their reality is real, even though we're not experiencing it, we don't see it. So if you can't experience what I'm experiencing when I'm high, you don't get to denigrate it and say it's not real, it's not authentic, it's a cheapened version of things. Anything that happens to me in my human experience is real, like to me. Not to get all metaphysical and esoteric here.
No,
but like,
let's do it. I love this. This is a great example, I think, around
it bothers
how we
me.
acknowledge the psychosis, but we don't acknowledge when two gay men are saying they love each other.
Yeah. And we want to denigrate that. We want to say it's not real sex. It's not good connection. It's not the kind of sex you should be having. Like, I think this thing around sober sex, which gets like really promoted out there, is like, when's the last time you had sober sex? I'm like, well, I really don't want to have sober sex because it's boring and it's not fun to me right now. It's not the sex I want. So why would I have to go have that to prove myself that I can go have this other type of sex that you deem more authentic and more real because the chemicals are involved? I'm like, yeah, but for a lot of people, that's not accessible to them. For me, it wasn't accessible to me. Like having sober sex was an awful experience of like, being in my head and being disconnected from my body and being all these things. And so I really didn't enjoy it all that much. It didn't make me feel closer to the person I was having sex with, and I certainly don't appreciate us being stuffed into a heteronormative pattern of like, you should be having sex with your committed life partner, Ted, and that's it. Like, you shouldn't be wanting to have group sex or explore things or masturbate as much as you do. Like, it's like these things that society deems like what's normal and regular and what's healthy. Like, these are all arbitrary things. And every time somebody's tried to tell me that my friends who I'm using with are not my real friends, I'm like, honey, I've got a lot of sober people who are fickle and can't be relied upon and will turn their back on you at the first drop of a hat. So don't tell me that people who are, engaging in chemsex are any worse or any better. But it really bothers me that people doubt the reality of our experiences and also denigrate them. So,
yeah, and that when you're high, you don't know stuff.
Well, when I'm high, I don't know stuff. I get kind of dumb, but that's just me.
Do you? Because I've written papers high, and they were good marks. So there was something going on.
Well, that's you, Bradley. That's your story. You're smarter than I am.
Oh God, no!
Oh God, I said that on air too. That's terrible. You have to cut that.
We won't. We will not. That'll be the name of the episode, actually.
Bradley is smarter than Jordan. The episode. You heard it here first.
And on the t-shirts as well. And it'll be a picture of you, like a sort of Andy Warhol picture of you crying.
I'm on it. I love it.
I thought you
We have
might.
to have official merch for the podcast. Official merch.
Yeah. What do you love about being a drug user?
It's the same thing I love about being gay. It has thrust me once more to see myself outside of society and what society says I should be and who I should be. And I've gotten to see the inner workings of I've gotten to see how the wizard really works in the Emerald City, right? It's like, I see the illusions. I see through it's like you get to see that the gig is up. It's like you see how society works, right? Being a drug user points out to you that we live in an unequal, oppressive society that is fundamentally white supremacist and fundamentally hell-bent on excluding everybody from the inner core. And it's helped me realize I don't want to be on that side. I don't want to be part of that group of people striving to get into the club. I want to be on the people on the outside of the club who's just like, no, I do not want membership in there. You people are sick. You need
That's who we are.
So we are. And I would rather be building connections with other people who are trying to make a different version of the world for ourselves, right? Who regardless of whether people have problems with drugs or not, like, we're still human beings and we still deserve equitable and fair treatment and access to healthcare. We don't deserve to be vilified or shamed all the time or, treated as like some sort of horrible stereotype. I don't want that in the future. I don't want people who come up after me to have the same fight it took for me to get up there and one day admit to people that I was somebody who practiced chemsex or PNP and not feel ashamed. I want people to feel like they can talk to their doctor about it and they can talk to their best friend about it and not have them be like, oh my God, I can't talk to you again because you use crystal. Like the stuff that we've gone through. So yeah, that's what I like about being a drug user. Plus, I really like the sex. It's really good. There's some hot guys up there.
There's someone to say there's hot guys out there?
There's hot guys up there. Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny.
But that's just me saying that.
So then if partying is partying about meth? Is it meth use for you? Not for everybody, but for you?
I mean, meth is certainly part of my ritual with chemsex, but, no more so than GHB is and no more so than, wearing a jockstrap is. It's like, it's a whole bunch of things that go into the mix and
ingredients.
It's ingredients. And it's like meth is like a tool to facilitate an end that I'm trying to achieve, right? I'm not trying to just use crystal meth. I'm using it because I want to get high and I want to feel a certain way and do certain things. And it's just a medium. It's a tool. It's a medium. It's all these other things that it's not the same thing. Crystal meth use and PNP are very disparate, right? It's not the same thing.
So what is partying then if it isn't drugs? How would you say, what is it?
Partying is like...
What is it for you?
At the best of times, it's like a wonderful social event with friends. Right? Whether it's one friend or two friends or five friends, usually it's one friend for me because I can't handle large groups of friends.
You're an Orthodox woman.
I'm a very Orthodox woman. I observe the Sabbath. I keep it holy.
Well,
don't ask what holes, but hey.
Yes, you certainly do.
You can strike that one from the record if you're editing this.
Oh God, no.
For me, it's like it's a social thing. It really is. When it comes down to it, it's a social thing. It's a sense of like, oh, I want to invite my friends over and catch up on things and like have a good time doing it. Like it really is just a social connection. It's a chance to be part of my little community of folks, and because I've thrown my hat in with them, and identify with them, that's what it is for me. It's a social outlet. It's also a lot of other things too, but it's a social outlet primarily. So,
what's one of the other things that you just waved off?
Well, I know you're going to hate me for saying this, but it is also sometimes it is a form of coping with the uncertainty of life these days.
Why will I hate you for that?
Well, because it's not the nice liberationist answer. It's like...
Oh, because I've never gotten hired because I needed to cope with shit.
Well, no, not you. Surely not you.
No.
Oh, I'm the one who has existential dread.
Yeah, when my dog died, no, I was sober the entire time and never sucked a dick. I don't remember. I think that we get caught up in reasons. Reasons can be pleasure. Right? They can be not pleasure. And we can also have trauma and have sex and there be no correlation. Another guy at a guy that I hook up with said, like how I navigated that, said, because I was telling him about he asked me how research and stuff was going. And so we were talking about it. And he said, because he is Jewish, and he said, his great-grandparents have lived through the Holocaust. And I was like, oh my God, where are we going with this? And he said, they had sex all the time. And his grandma said, that when they had sex, it wasn't necessarily always about the Holocaust, that they could have the trauma of the Holocaust and have sex at the same time, and they not be connected. And then sometimes the trauma from the Holocaust actually informed the sex that they had because they needed more, they needed connection, they needed escape. And I was like, wow, that's like a very heavy example. But the example of how trauma can inform and cannot inform, but we insist on it informing us as gay men who have sex with, like.
Is it, do we insist on it, or is it something that has been thrust upon us to insist upon?
It's been thrust upon us.
Yeah, I agree. And it's one of those things that drives me crazy. It's like I'm always looking for a reason behind why I'm doing things. And I never ever consider that maybe I just want to, like, come.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I want to do. But I'm busy trying to find the pathological reason why this is bad, because I've already determined in my mind that there's a part of me that really still believes this idea that chemsex or party and play is bad. It's a shameful thing, and I should look for reasons why it's pathological and bad, and then I'll understand the pathological person that I am, and I can root it out and get rid of that icky part and disavow myself of that. But when I'm kind of
just come to me for that. Teasing you.
No comment. I'm not going to do this on air with you, Bradley.
Oh, please do.
No, we're not going to.
It's good work, Christina. So here's something that I love to share, because when I first met you, I didn't actually meet you because it was online, and I read your profile in a hookup app, and it said in your profile you had a little bit of a Julia Sugarbaker moment around the choice for drug use on the app, and that there wasn't a hell yes, and the fact that there was a hell no is actually stigma. Like, that is the oppression around drug use. And I was like, girl, we need to meet. And so you and I talked for a long time. And then in a setting that was completely non-sexual, you and I were sitting across the table, and I said to you, oh my God, and I said your name, and the look on your face was very funny.
I found out. Here I am working my professional capacity. I don't want to be known by that name. It's so funny too how we ended up in that moment. Well, also for the listeners at home, I was busy being jealous of Bradley because I thought he was there to replace me on the team. I was like, another gay man who parties in place who's more eloquent and competent than I am.
More eloquent? Oh, God.
Oh, well, I mean, it doesn't take much on our team. You know what we're
Well, I've said it before, but I do think you are a remarkable guy, and the way that to live in the community as out as you are around as unapologetic around your drug use, even though I know that you have, that it hurts you sometimes because people make assumptions about you that are not true. But you are a great guy, and I adore you. And I adored you since I read that thing in your profile that said, unless there's a hell yes, that this is stigma.
That used to drive me crazy about that particular site. I was like, this is like the wholesale silencing of talking about partying online apps is a disservice to the gay community. It's denying reality. Like, I hate to say it to bathhouse owners, to app owners, we use drugs in our community. And if you're not making it safer for us, you're making it more harmful. And I really hate to say it, but like, a lot of these places promote harm. They promote secrecy and shame and stigma. And like, that's unacceptable to me. If you're going to make money off of us, you have to accept the community for what we are and put things in place to keep us safe. Like, the fact that you can't talk about drug use online is infuriating to me. We're all adults, But you know what? We're very inventive adults. Like, I love the fact that we still get by with our little emojis and our little ways of capitalizing T and mild to wild and all the things that we do that communicate with other knowing people what we're there to do, and we can negotiate it all the same. Like, that's how we practice safer partying or harm reduction or whatever you want to call it. We still manage to find a way, but
we do, and I think it gets honed, because I think people now, a lot of people know that a capital T means what it means, and I mean, we know because we are in the community. But for people who are listening to this who don't know when we say what the capital T means, spelling party with a capital T, but all the other letters are lowercase, and the other letters, what are we talking about?
So it's a coded kind of symbol. So T stands for Tina, which is a slang term for crystal meth, right? So it's one of the drugs that features prominently in the Canadian experience of party and play. I want to just put a caveat out there for folks listening. The drugs differ from scene to scene at times because not all drugs are available in certain places, but crystal meth is a pretty common one here in Canada. And then G, with a capital G, is for GINA or water or GHB, which is actually its name, GHB. Don't make me say the full name, gamma
Gamma-hydroxybutyrate.
Butyrate, yeah. I can't say that for some reason. But GHB or GBL. So we use that to flag to people what we party with when we include that in a statement. It can be any word with capital T and G. We can see all sorts of places. Or party, which has two E's at the end instead of a Y. There's little ways we flag, right? Just phrases that we use too, like mild to wild, which is like, for most people, they know what it means. Though I've had a couple guys who thought it just meant that I really wanted to have wild sex, and they didn't think the drug part of it was they didn't necessarily understand the drug part of it. But most people who party know that means you're partying. Even saying you're open-minded can be a way to flag to people, like long sessions. Like these are all little codes that we throw in there to tell people what we're into and what we're all about, beneath the radar of the algorithms and AI chat bots that are out there hunting our profiles down, trying to get rid of us. Yeah. So that way Grindr can feel good about itself.
Being surveilled one more time.
Yes. Yes.
So from crystal methamphetamine, where does Tina, I know, but how do you get Tina out of crystal methamphetamine?
I don't know. I think I personally want to believe that the connection is to Faye Dunaway and Mommy Dearest. And people believe she was so messed up on speed that she must have been on crystal meth, because that's the only way we could explain that movie away.
Christina, Barbara, please.
Please. Tina, bring me the axe. But I don't think that's the connection. I think it's just a weird thing. It's Christina, Tina, Crystal. I don't know. I think on the dynasty route, but hey.
A guy asked me once when he came over to my house when I was a young girl, and he asked me if I partied, and I brought out a big bottle of vodka that I got, Pinky vodka from London, because I used to be very international. And he was like, "Oh, girl, I don't mean vodka." And I was like, "Oh, what do you mean?" And he went, "Tina." And I went, "Tina?" And he went, "Tea." And I was like, "You don't mean English breakfast, I assume."
Yeah, and
he was like, "No, I mean, Tina is short for Christine, which comes from crystal." And I was like, oh, crystal methamphetamine. And he's like, yeah, you should have just said that.
Yeah, that makes convoluted sense. Yeah.
And it's also because we're homosexuals and Tina is...
We used to call ketamine Doris Day amongst my friends, because K, Sarah, Sarah.
I love that. I've never heard that.
And we would sing the song too, which always was traumatizing for me, because Que Sera Sera is a song that reminds me of my mother and my childhood, and it was a very lovely memory, and now it's all infused with ketamine. And I'm like, great. So,
well, maybe this will help, because speaking of Doris Day, I was named after Rock Hudson because he played a character named Brad in Pillow Talk, and my mom thought it would be awesome if her son grew up to be like Rock Hudson,
and he did,
and she sure did.
She sure did.
HIV and all. And I said, well, why didn't you call me Rock? And she said, because it rhymes with things.
I don't know what it rhymes with, but I'll think of something.
Clock. Yeah. So hopefully you can Doris Day, back to Doris Day for Kay.
Yes, hopefully. I'll do some right after I get off this call.
I love that. We do that as gay men. We make things fabulous.
We do. We really do.
But I think, can you tell if someone is a partier before that is ever disclosed?
I don't want to say like, yeah, I've got the sixth sense about it, but I think I've got a bit of a spidey sense about it. And I can tell when I go after somebody's profile that doesn't explicitly say it, which is rare for me, because I usually look for those signs or something that gives me an in. I don't know. I just kind of have a vibe. I'm like, this person's probably a safe person to bet on. Yeah, so I can tell. I don't know what I base that off of, because I've really never questioned that kind of like ability. But I think
it's the same ability as cruising, right? Like you're in if someone cruises and they're in a park, no one's going, yes, I'm looking for a blowjob over here by the geraniums. No, it's like, it's all of this unspoken signaling that we do. And I think we do it around partying as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I'm not looking for a blowjob by the geraniums. I hate geraniums. They're a terrible flower. By the chrysanthemums.
Maybe.
Or the gladioli.
Gladioli?
Yeah, I mean, we used to have the hanky code, though, for those of us who weren't so sharp at the unspoken signs. We at least had the hanky code back then. Yeah. I don't think there's one for drugs. So,
well, people think that the letters, but I think a lot of us know what the letters are now.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not that complex. And what I hear you saying is that there's knowledge in the community that we hold knowledge, and you want to hear that knowledge about why.
Mm-hmm. Guys who party and play can be wise. They can be sages. They can be intelligent. They could be insightful. They've got a lot of things to offer. Some of the best people I know are guys who partied, and I would hold them up against any sober person any day of the week. So, yeah, kind of like you. You're one of those good people. So,
do you think I'm a sober person? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
No.
I think you're an idiot savant, but that's just. I don't think that. You know that.
You don't think the last part. The first part, yes, half of it is true. Thank you. I adore you.
I adore you too, and I also adore me.
We have that in common.
We do. We do.
Attention all passengers, Captain Patrice speaking. We've reached our cruising altitude. We're now approaching the second and final leg of our YYZ Insight flight, where Toronto host Bradley resumes the conversation with Jordan as they explore how to foster solidarity among people who use drugs. More compelling stories await. Subscribe to stay updated. If you've encountered turbulence while listening to this podcast, please refer to our list of resources and services related to PNP chemsex in the episode description and on chemstories.ca.